Welcome back to the Click Chick podcast. You will not be surprised by who we have today because it is one of my favorite people on the pod. Hi,
Hello.
Kristen.
Hi, thanks for having me back.
Of course, with In Bloom Photography. What's new? We've both been in Charleston a lot lately.
Yes. Oh my gosh. And I love it. Really excited for this weather to get a little cooler though.
It was so nice this morning when I woke up there. It was good, crisp weather.
Nice.
Went for a little walk. It was
It was chilly here. I woke up it was like 60 something degrees and I was like, what's happening?
Yeah. I'm a little scared. I get like the seasonal depression. So I'm just like,
oh, no.
I get like, it's the leaves start turning and I'm like, no, it's going to get dark at 4:30. Like that's where my head always goes.
The sunset is changing.
Everyone's like, yay, pumpkin spice. I'm like, I like my blueberry matchas. Like y'all are taking it from me. But like, I am excited to wear like the jackets. If you guys are watching today, I'm wearing the flannel. She's got the cardigan. We are in full fall spirit today.
We're ready for it. We're ready for her to come and just be loud and proud. We're ready.
Amen. As we head into the chaotic wedding season. So speaking of chaos and all things good, this episode is about AI and how we use AI in our businesses or don't. I know you said you're not huge on it, but we're all here to learn today.
Used to not be. I have been using it for culling. So,
yeah. We'll get into that. This is going to be a chatty episode, guys. I have a whole notes app for you to go through all of the information, everything I use for it.
I'm here for it.
Yeah. How do you feel overall about AI before we just jump in? What are your feelings?
I think like overall, I do think it is a good tool to help, but as long as it's used in a way that doesn't like compromise your business or your brand. I think that's really important to note, especially because now you have like IMAGEN AI or these other programs that can like fully take over editing. Which, it's kind of like this push and pull of like, do I save myself some time or do I compromise my brand? Which, I mean, it's like a whole rabbit hole.
It's not necessarily compromise. We'll get into
and
this,
it doesn't
but
have
it's
to
not
compromise.
necessarily.
It doesn't have to compromise, but that is, I think, what had made me apprehensive initially, which might make other people feel apprehensive. So maybe this episode will kind of like debunk that fear. But yeah.
Yeah, I think the other thing people are apprehensive about, and this is not something we're getting into in my notes, but one of the people I know who does boudoir photography, she was actually on the podcast. She doesn't use AI because she's not certain about the usage rights and everything that they get by submitting like AI editing on bruises or whatever. She's like, am I all of a sudden like submitting this photo of some girl who's nude and I'm risking her privacy, like all of that. And I was like, I never thought about that. And I need to research it. I don't know.
I didn't think about that either. And I feel like that is a very delicate thing. And also with children. So that is another thing. And that's just like my former police officer talking, because people will literally like Photoshop just a normal photo of a child, like in an inappropriate way. So I feel like there's a lot of different ways that can go.
Yeah.
Whether it be like, a woman of age, and she's consenting to these photos, very different than maybe, just like you said, like literally using them in any way that they want. Like that's kind of a scary thought, I think. And then because you're just kind of like relinquishing your rights.
I didn't even think about that either. Yeah. So we definitely need to research how usage and what you're giving up by using AI. Cause I know you consent to them using it for their own research purposes to improve AI. I know that's something I've seen on Lightroom.
But are they selling it on the back end like Facebook does with our information?
Right. So we do need to be more careful with this. This is something everyone do your own research. We don't have all the answers, but today,
I didn't even think about this. That is a really good point.
Something to think about before you jump into the AI world, but we are very excited about AI and let's just jump. Let's jump in. We're
jumping.
All right. So the first thing I wanted to talk about is everybody knows it. Everyone loves it. Maybe ChatGPT.
Ooh.
So there's a free version and there's a paid version. I don't know how much you know about ChatGPT. I'm a huge user.
I didn't know that there was like a free and a paid version.
Yeah.
I'm actually not too keen on it because I don't actually use it. So I'm interested to hear.
We're going to learn today.
Yes. And maybe some of you will learn as well.
Yes. And I took notes. So I like did some research for this because I didn't want to mislead people. And again, I'm just a girl. I'm doing my best.
We're verified information here.
Do your own research. No, okay. So the free version is a little bit limited. There's multiple like intelligence, I don't know what you would call it, versions of AI. So like with the free one, you get to use their most like advanced, I want to say, AI with, I don't know how many prompts it limits you to, like 8 or 12 or something like that.
Yeah.
And so you get to like ask ChatGPT like 8 questions with this. And then it like reverts to an older version that's not quite as intelligent.
Interesting.
So it's just like different versions, which is interesting.
Does this cycle like every day?
Yeah.
Or is this like...
Or I think it's every so many hours.
Okay. So essentially like, let's say for example, like every 24 hours, you get to ask 8 high intelligent questions to ChatGPT and then... Okay.
And I've used both because I've like gone over the limit of how many I can use. And it's definitely, it's more intelligent. Like it just is. Like I got way more out of it using, so for $20 a month, I don't know if it's unlimited use of it or it says 5 times access to GPT 4.0, I think is what it is.
Interesting.
And then you can do like file uploads, web browsing, image generation. And
image generation?
Yeah. Like, have you seen on TikTok how people are like, do an image of this, make it angrier. Like, I don't know if you know this trend. It was like maybe 5 or 6 months ago that this was trending.
Maybe I'm just living under a rock.
Maybe.
I don't know.
If it ever comes across my FYP, I'll send it to you.
Please.
But, so yeah, I use ChatGPT all the time. I love it, but you have to know how to use it. So if you just blindly go in there and you're like, write copy for my website, for my about page, it's not, it's going to give you a really general thing. And I did like a masterclass on AI. So like or ChatGPT.
Yeah.
And so like, and how to write copy for your website and all of that. So that was really insightful. And I wish I could remember who the coach was so I could tell
I was going to say, was it from like somebody that is like a representative of ChatGPT?
No, it was
what is it?
GPT.
GPT.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think
GPT. Okay.
Yeah. No, it wasn't a representative, but it was somebody who like coaches people on how to use it. So it's like an independent person, but like,
so they're probably like very well versed in it.
Oh yeah. Okay, she knew. And it was right after the new version came out. I did this like maybe 2 months ago.
Yeah.
But it was really helpful because she was talking about how you should talk to it almost like it's an assistant for you. So you tell it what its job is. So like if you want it to write copy for your website, you're like, you're a copywriter in this industry. And you want to be like super specific. You're like, this is my business. This is what I focus on. This is my target audience. This is what I'm trying to book. Like, this is the objective I want. It's a lot of work, but the output is really good.
Interesting. And I'm not so much thinking of like the work aspect. I'm more so thinking of like the functionality of it. I think that's so wild.
Like you tell it what tone you use. Like I'm like, oh, I'm more upbeat and casual. Like, and it nailed it.
That's so wild.
And like my paragraph was massive that I told it what to do.
Yeah.
Something else I learned too from this masterclass is you shouldn't say please and thank you to it, which like I naturally want to do because I'm scared.
Yeah.
I'm scared they're gonna like come and attack us. So I'm like, oh, maybe I'm always like with Siri, I'm always like, hey Siri, can you blah blah blah? And then she does it and I'm like, thanks, babe. But like apparently if you do that in ChatGPT, it starts viewing it more as like a suggestion than a command.
Oh, like you should please the reader.
Or it's like, can you please do this for me? It's like it has a choice. But like, this is what she said. It sounds a little too aware for me, but also like technology is crazy. Yeah. So like could be.
Yeah, that's absolutely wild.
And then something else too is it'll prank you sometimes. So if you say, do not use this word, it's going to start using that word. So you want to be careful when you're like, oh, don't say candid. Like it's going to use the word candid. Like it trolls you.
So it's essentially like, you tell it what you want, but you don't tell it what you don't want.
Right, exactly. You know, if someone's like, don't think of a pineapple, and now all you can think about is a pineapple.
Literally.
Yeah. So it's like, that is apparently like how she described it. So you have to be careful with that. But yeah, the more it knows about your business, your goals, your tone, the better its output is going to be. I've used it to do the copy on both. Actually, I have 3 websites now. On all of my websites, but
check her out on all 3.
All 3 websites linked. But yeah, I've used it for all of my websites, and it's been really good and really helpful. But I don't like relying on AI to just do the work for me. So like everything, that's the starting point for me. Sure. Like if someone's like write an about page, I just go blank. So like I put everything about my business, like all that. And then I'm like, write an about page for me. And then it does it. And I'm like, it's 80% there. Yeah. And then I go in and make it what I love.
Which I feel like how it should be because, and we kind of touched on this earlier, is so in my personal research that I had been doing for like my website and my SEO and things like that, is that Google, or maybe it's all SEO, but Google specifically, when it like basically it can tell when you have used a service like this, and if it's like a certain percentage of AI written, it'll just completely ignore it. It's like, oh, this is a bot, this isn't real, like we ignore. So I don't know, because I have seen ads for my, like on my business Instagram, like I have gotten ads for like, use this for copy for your business to improve your SEO. Yeah. So I'm not really clear on the balance.
Right. Like where's the line?
Yeah. Or like what really is functional and improves your SEO versus like, what does Google and SEO and whatever like not prioritize or not pick up because it's too, you know what I mean? So
well, it's so fickle too. Like it changes all the time. I hate chasing the SEO.
Yes. It's like a hamster wheel. Like you're constantly like, you know, trying to figure it out. And then they also say that like it takes a year for things to like kick in. So say you update something today, are you not going to see that update for a year from now?
It's so stressful because I just switched over my website too.
And so that's the thing is, so every time I update my website, I'm like, okay, am I starting all over again?
Probably.
Or is it just like the domain name that it has history? And so like my whole thing, how I like justified in my head, and I don't know if this is true, so please don't quote me on that, but it's, so you have the domain name. So mine is nbloomphotography.nc.com. So all of the data that is gathered from my website, from people that visit my website, I think that is what does SEO. I don't know, but it's like the length of it, not like what's actively on your page right now. Of course, the copy is like really important, but the data from previous visits and previous activity is also important too. I think. Don't quote me on that. That's what my brain thinks. Okay. How like all the research that I've done for me personally in my business, that's kind of what I've concluded on, but I don't know if that's true.
Interesting. Yeah. I think we're bringing up some good points for everybody to also Google on their own.
Yes.
Even if we don't know.
Do your own research.
To think about.
Yes. And it can be misleading. It can be confusing. So take everything with a grain of salt. I don't know. I don't know. But also like read as much as you can and look into as much as you can and listen to like different podcasts and find ultimately what works best for you.
Yeah, definitely. Have you seen the girl that came up with posing ideas on ChatGPT?
No.
She like put in, I can't remember what her prompt was. I was trying to find it so I could reference it, but she asked ChatGPT to come up with like candid prompts to give to clients, and then she posted the results and it was cool.
Okay, so that's actually genius.
Yeah, like just for fun, just to like switch it up. And I don't know that it was like basic necessarily, like have the couple hold hands. Like, I don't know. It could be, and then obviously as photographers, you use your talent to make that beautiful. But yeah, I thought that was really interesting.
That is really interesting, and also like fun for content.
Yeah,
like,
we should both do it. This is a challenge. By the end of September,
we should
do it. Yeah,
like together.
Sure.
Okay, I think that'd be really fun.
Yeah, I like it
for boudoir.
Or oop, 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 oop.
I don't know. I think that'd be really cool.
Also, speaking of Instagram, TikTok content. This one's fun. The other trend has been analyzing your Instagram content and asking ChatGPT.
I have seen this.
Okay, so I did it for both of us.
You did it for me? Yeah. Oh my God. Okay, so this is like, you are gonna get a live reaction because I haven't heard this. I have seen people do this challenge, this thing, and I was like, oh, it's like cute, but like I just
You don't use it. Yeah.
I don't use it. Yeah. So you're going to get my live reaction to whatever chat GPT has said.
Okay. So I did mine first. And if you guys don't follow my personal Instagram just follow the podcast so far, follow at 1828 Collective to see all my work. So it said, your Instagram account gives off a very professional and aesthetically pleasing vibe, focusing on weddings, couples, and romance. The warm, earthy tones and intimate moments captured in your photos convey a strong sense of love, connection, and authenticity.
Love.
It feels like you're either a wedding photographer or someone passionate about documenting love stories. Facts.
Ooh, that's a fact.
The balance between candid shots and posed photos creates a welcoming storytelling atmosphere, making it feel personal yet polished.
Personal but polished? Okay, is that not you, like, in a nutshell?
Thank you. Overall, it suggests a creative, romantic, and thoughtful approach to photography. So, like, cute. And I think this is good to just, like, vibe check yourself a little bit. And it's like, is my work giving off the vibe that I want? So I, like, did mine. And then I was like, we have a very different photography style.
Very, yeah.
And so I was like, honestly, what is this about her?
I'm excited.
So it said, this Instagram account, In Bloom Photography NC, exudes a soft, elegant, and timeless aesthetic, leaning towards classic wedding photography.
Not me about to cry.
Right? I was like,
oh my God.
Amazing. The color palette is lighter and more pastel oriented, giving off a romantic and airy feel.
It's like she knows me.
The photos are well composed with a strong focus on traditional elements of weddings, bridal portraits, bouquets, and elegant settings. There's a good mix of detail shots like the floral arrangements and cocktails alongside candid moments between couples and families, which brings a personal and intimate touch to the work. The overall style of this account suggests a focus on capturing elegance and joy in special moments, particularly weddings, with an emphasis on timelessness, soft lighting, and natural expressions.
We're here for the timelessness, people. We are here for it.
I was like, timeless, bright. Yum.
Can you send that to me?
Yeah. You're like, I'm crying.
I'm crying. Oh my gosh.
But yeah, like I feel like it definitely works. Like it's accurate. Because I wanted to test. I was like, okay, like what does it say about somebody who's nothing like my style?
Right.
And I'm like, we both have like the more kind of like romantic, whatever. But like you're bright and airy and I'm not. So it's like we're very.
But it like immediately hit on like you're warmer. It like even said warm. And then it said mine was lighter. And I was like, ooh, okay.
Yeah.
She's accurate.
I was like so stoked on this. So yeah, love that. Just as like a touch point to see where you're at in your business and if your work is doing the work. And also it's just fun and cute. So just do it, run it. So the way that I did this, I screenshot like
the feed or something. The feed.
And I can't remember how many posts it was, like 12, 15, something like that.
Yeah.
And then just uploaded the photo and was like, analyze my Instagram account or Instagram feed. And it was like, blah, blah, blah. So really if you guys want to do that, that's how to do it. It was super fun. Something else that I've used before, and then I did like a test one just to like go over it on the podcast, is using ChatGPT for your social media strategy.
Ooh.
And this one, it was better this time than the first time I ran it because it's the new technology. I haven't done it in a while. So the prompt that I used was create an Instagram social media plan and calendar for the month of September, including photo posts, reels, and Instagram stories. I'd like to post to my feed 4 to 5 times a week and on my stories 2 to 3 times a day. I want to include wedding day tips, photos of previous wedding photography work, and behind the scenes content. So one point I want to make before I go into this is I have a thread on ChatGPT that has been going back for 6, 7, 8 months. Mm-hmm. So the more you put in the thread, the more it learns about you. So like the advice it gave me is based on blog posts that I've helped write my website copy I've written, like everything I've ever used on this one thread, it like continues to build off of it. So it knows my tone. It like knows what I'm looking for and it just keeps getting smarter and smarter.
Okay.
So like that's important. Like the longer you use it, the smarter it gets. So what it gave me was first it started with a recap of the 3 weekly themes I gave it. Like tips, previous wedding work, and behind the scenes.
Which, by the way, not me living in like 1902 because I didn't even think about that. Like I did not even think about using
make it work. It's an assistant
content planning.
Yeah.
Didn't think about that.
Yeah.
That's insane.
And it's so good. It gave me an Instagram feed calendar, mixed ideas for reels and posts. And some of the examples were Friday, you're going to post a reel. It's a behind the scenes reel, what it's like to be a wedding photographer for a day, and post snippets of your team at work. Saturday or Sunday, post first look moments, showcasing a heartwarming first look from a recent wedding. Monday, a wedding tip post. Should you do a first look? Share reasons and benefits. Use stories as a poll for follower engagement. Polls on Instagram on post is a new thing. So like it is on it. Like it is telling me what to do. And then Instagram stories, it told me what to do in the morning, midday, evening, gave me suggestions like specific polls to do, what wedding day tips to post, when to post behind the scenes for shoots and weddings, sharing recaps from a wedding weekend. Like it was specific. It's like, do this at this time, do this. And I don't know how much research is on it as far as like when engagement is best. And I know that it's different for everyone's Instagrams. Yeah. But it gave me a very specific calendar.
Like times to post?
For the stories, it gave me times, but not for, because I think to like space it out. So you're not like posting it all like bam, bam, bam.
Yeah, that would make sense.
But I'm like, you could ask it and be like, what is like based on research from the last month? Like what is the best time to post these and whatever, and maybe it would give some good advice. But that's I was really like, dang, this was solid.
And I will say, so I heard you mention the like the ideal times to post, and I will say when I follow those suggestions from Instagram, it does not hit. Okay. So I started just doing it basically like first thing in the morning. And honestly, like I've kind of gone back and forth trying to see like what works best for me. Every time I post around like 9, 10 a.m. hits.
My morning ones do better too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But just because more people, because Instagram shows you the amount of your followers or that people you follow, I can't remember. It shows when they're active. It's not showing when they're interacting, if that makes sense.
Ooh, interesting.
So at least to my knowledge, and again, I could be wrong, but it shows when people are on. But so say for example, like if I go on my insights and I look and it's like, okay, you have 800 people on at 9 p.m. Well, I'm not going to post at 9 p.m. because if I have a post that I post at 9 a.m. that's been engaged with, it will last that 24 hours so that people that are on at 9 p.m., if they weren't on before, they're going to see it more likely now because it's been engaged with, if that makes sense.
That makes so much sense.
But that's just like from my personal experience, and that's kind of like the logic that I have behind it. I'm not an Instagram guru, so I really don't know that for sure. But like that's just
something
kind of like
to
what
test.
I've noticed. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, with the insights. So that's all I have for ChatGPT.
I'm going to look into this. Like I'm really
please do. It has changed my life. It's saved me hours, days of time. Just that creative side of you that's like, you go blank. Like I panic. If someone's like, tell me about yourself, I'm like, I don't know.
But I will say like in regards to socials, so us as photographers, like we literally create the thing that goes on Instagram. Images. Like holy heck, we are like so... We have like imagine being a wedding planner and all of your content is reliant on the photographer at that wedding. If they're even like on brand with their style of images or like what they want to portray for their branding.
And if they even send it to you.
Or imagine you are a baker and you rely on those images to come from a photographer. Literally every single wedding vendor, like what I mean to say is as photographers, videographers, whatever media that you are, you have no excuse not to post on Instagram, and it is free marketing. Like there is a time when you have like so much content to post that it's like you had mentioned, like it's almost like paralyzing because you just have so much, you don't know what to post. but having a strategy is so important for your business growth.
Yeah.
That if you need to utilize something to keep yourself accountable as a business owner, and to keep yourself accountable and like on track for like marketing and your business goals, like that is it. That is what you need. I didn't know this existed. So, and we were actually talking about this earlier, is sometimes I'll go through phases of like, I post solid for a week. I'm consistent. I'm getting the engagement. I'm engaging. And then I'll like flop for a week or two. And I'll just fall off. But this, I feel like, creates a schedule for you. You can stay, like, hold yourself accountable. It gives you ideas, like when you've literally posted in your mind, like, how many times can we post about a first look? You know what I mean? But to our new followers,
exactly,
maybe it's the first time they're seeing it.
Exactly.
Maybe somebody just got engaged. They're just now planning their wedding and they want you to be their photographer, but they've never seen a first look photo before.
Yeah.
So maybe this using the schedule and utilizing this technique is something that is going to make you more cognizant as a photographer, as a business owner, making you more cognizant about like what to post. I think that's really, really important to know. So I really like this. And
like earlier too, you were talking about like compromising your brand, but this is still general enough where it's like, this is what to post, but it's not compromising that. Like you're still yourself, like you're still, and you can ask it to come up with captions for all of this. Like you can go deep, and I think it knows my tone well enough that it would get me again, like 80% there. I'm still going to tweak it.
Which is insane.
Now, I don't love doing ChatGPT captions because it does start to feel like a little bit of a fallout. So like that's where I'm like, because I want to actually talk to my followers. I'm like, yo, what's up? It's me, McKenna. So like, even though it does get my tone, I still feel like you can tell sometimes when it's not quite you. But for things like wedding day tips, like it's nice to have, it knows what my tips are. Like I've put so much into this thread.
And that's amazing though. Yeah. Like, and essentially like you're investing in like your marketing strategy. Yeah. Like it's a consistent thing going. So that's really interesting.
Yeah. Oh, something else I want to mention before we move on from ChatGPT. What's it called? Regenerating your prompt is something you can do on there. So you ask ChatGPT like, okay, write me a caption for this. And you should always ask it to do it again. So there's like a refresh button on there. So you can do it as many times as you want. I wouldn't do it more than 2 or 3 times. That's just overwhelming. But it'll just keep redoing it for you. And usually the second option I like better. So that's also something to look into. That's good to know. I don't know if it just takes it like another second because you're regenerating it. So it's like, let me think about this a little harder. How can I do it better? And then I'm like, ooh, I liked that one.
Yeah. Interesting.
So yeah, definitely love that. This is one you use, this next topic of AI. Culling. So if you guys don't know what culling means, it's just going through photos, picking your favorites, discarding the ones where people's eyes are closed.
Yes.
Yeah. So what do you use, Aftershoot?
I use Aftershoot, yes. Yeah. After much hesitation. Because I think we actually had a conversation. I was essentially feeling like if I used something for culling, I feel like that is a massive part of the creative process. Going through and seeing, maybe I liked a certain expression, even if it's a split second. Yeah. Maybe I liked one expression a little more, like maybe her nose was a little more crinkled. Maybe he was smiling a little bit bigger. And I feel like that's so important because it's those small, minute details that change the entire photo. So I think it's really, really important to go through, like still, of course, like review every image. But as far as like it doing the heavy lifting when it comes to culling, like when you have 10,000 photos from a wedding day because you're an overshooter. So I need all the help I can get. Yeah.
And it's so nice. So I had a note on here to pull facts on this, and then I never pulled facts. I think it's $10 a month. Does that sound right?
I think I paid for the year. Okay. But I can't remember. Actually, if we pause, I can go look.
Yeah.
So I couldn't find it. So
okay, found it. It is $10 a month if you pay annually. So like, what is it? $120? I can't do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's right.
Or $15 a month monthly, which is what I pay for because I am not financially savvy. But yeah, not a bad price. And how it works is, I think that gives you unlimited photos.
It is, yeah.
Unlimited culling, and you just upload your files, your catalog, your folder, whatever you want to call it, folder of raw images to Aftershoot, and then select if it's a wedding or family session or whatever.
Yeah.
And then it culls everything for you. And what I love about it is it looks for closed eyes.
Mm-hmm.
So for those group photos where you have the huge wedding party or the massive family photo, you don't have to zoom in and make sure everybody's eyes are open.
Yes.
Like the frustration I would go through when it's like, all right, Uncle Bob, your eyes are closed. Next photo. All right. Aunt's eyes are closed now.
Yes.
So that's been really helpful.
Another, not to cut you off, but another feature I really, really like, and we're probably just about to say this, but I cut you off, so I apologize. But there is a feature where you can call less, standard amount, or more. So if you want a lot of options, you can like select the like more.
Yeah, like bigger groups, smaller groups. So photos are like similar, and you're like, oh, couples portraits, I don't need a ton of those. Like you can cull it down, and then it won't give you as many variations of like she was smiling with her teeth in this one, but just her lips in this one. Yeah. Where if you say a lot, you'll get more of those variations.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. I wasn't gonna say that. The other thing I like is that it's really easy to go through and see what you sorted through. So if it's like, oh, these are all the ones with closed eyes. Sometimes there's ones on the dance floor or whatever where you're like, I want this photo. Like they were slow dancing, so it makes sense that their eyes are closed. Exactly. So you have to go through a little bit and fine tune things. But they have keyboard shortcuts that make it super easy. So yeah. So I love that one. Also as a note, I have referral codes to all of the like AI software I'm talking about, except ChatGPT. So look
patiently waiting for that one.
Yes, look in the bio if you guys want free. I think you can get like extended time for free on some of these. You get some free edits and what I'm about to talk about. So definitely, if you're interested, check out the links so that you can get some freebies, and it helps me out.
And we love a freebie.
We love a freebie. So obviously, next step after culling is editing. Mm-hmm. And I hesitated on this for so long. I was like, I want to edit my own photos. I don't think this is authentic. Yeah. Blah, 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 blah. Nope, I'm sold. I am sold. I am sold and dirty. Like she's got a death grip on me. Now, all being said, I use IMAGEN AI. It's 5 cents a photo to edit, so super reasonable. Ooh. I can do an entire wedding for $80.
Yeah, and how much time does it save you?
Oh, so much.
Because at this point, like talking about like how much your time is worth, if you are in the depths of like a busy wedding season, how much is your time worth? And I feel like that is like so affordable. Yeah.
So the way that this works is you have to upload Lightroom catalogs. So when you first get it, you upload Lightroom catalogs until you have 3,000 edited images. Mm-hmm. So if you're working with raw files, make sure you're only uploading raw files that have your edits on them. And then it does this in-depth analysis of how you edit and replicates it. And then every time you edit photos after that, let me pause. So you upload the 3,000 photos, and that is like in one category, one profile, color profile, I think is how they call it. Mm-hmm. So I edit all of my photos pretty consistently in the same editing style. Yeah. But I know some people who do some more bright and airy and then some more true to color. So you can do multiple color profiles. So if you're like going through and you're like, I want this engagement session to be a little brighter than, I don't know, this wedding day, whatever. Yeah. You can select different color profiles. So that's super cool. Yes, you add in all of your photos. And then as you're editing new weddings, so you go in, you're like, okay, I want to edit this wedding in this color profile, whatever. You do that, go into Lightroom after you get the edits, fine tune it to be exactly how you want. And then you re-upload those edits. And each time you do that, it gets smarter. So it's like, okay, she didn't quite like how I edited those greens. So now she wants the greens to be like this. So the next time I do it, I'm going to match that. Wow. And like it noticed that it didn't reduce texture the first couple times I did it. And I was like, oh, she usually likes to reduce texture a little bit. Got it. And now it always does it for me. Ooh. And it's so intelligent. It freaks me out a little bit. However, I go through every image and I make edits. Yeah. So like, it's still me. I'm still fully confident that it's up to my standard because I am touching every image. Like I'm making minor adjustments and it's getting smarter.
And not to mention like all of its knowledge literally comes from you.
Exactly. So like it is my editing style. Yeah. Like it is 1828 Collective. Like you cannot convince me otherwise. Yeah. But not you. I was just saying people in general. No. I'm like, girl, get out of here.
I knew what you were saying. Yeah. But I'm agreeing with you. Like if you're literally putting in the effort to each image and you are, you're submitting this to, the AI. Yeah. What you said is Imagine, right? Yeah. You're submitting it to Imagine. They're little robots, like, that they are learning you.
Yeah, they work for me. Like it's as if you hired an editor for your company, right? Literally. And like a human editor. And you're like, oh, hey girl, love the way you edited this, but can you make the greens a little different? It's just like they're realizing it. Yeah. And quicker and cheaper. Yeah, like exactly. I hate it for that reason. Like it makes me sad, but also it makes our jobs easier. It doesn't cost us as much.
And also it doesn't like back up your queue. It doesn't, create any sense of like burnout because if you have so many galleries in your queue, you're going to be like so stressed about that. And you're not going to be like putting in your all, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, so the more you can turn around galleries, I feel like that's a win.
Exactly. Like as long as you're confident that it's you. And I don't always use it. Like sometimes I like getting in there. I'm like, let's do it. Course. But it is really helpful, especially for stuff like family formals and like with portraits, I'm a lot more hands-on. But when it's that like repetitive, the exact same background and everything, I'm like, let's throw it in AI and see what happens. And then it saves you like, I don't know, per category of a wedding, it takes me like an hour to 2 hours to edit. Yeah. Like
all your time, like pre-ceremony, ceremony.
Yeah. It's like getting ready photos, bride portraits, whatever. Yeah. So it saves me a ton of time. Yeah. I love it. I know some people are freaked out by it,
but I mean, to each their own. And like what somebody does with their business, if you are worried about what somebody else is doing in their business, you are not busy enough. Yeah. Don't be worrying about what other people are doing. Okay. If you don't agree with it, then don't do it. Let other people do their business. Yes. And that's all I got to say about that. Not me ranting for no reason. But anyways, mind your business.
And then the other two that I want to talk about before we wrap up the episode is obviously if you guys haven't updated Lightroom in the last, 4 months, they are doing. She gets it.
I just hit the microphone on accident, but I'm really excited about this. I'm really sorry. It's my new favorite thing, even though sometimes it is terrible, but
it's usually pretty good though.
It's sometimes really good.
So let me say, I'm getting ahead. Lightroom now has generative AI, if you didn't know already, which is incredible for removing people out of the background, for, all the little things. So Photoshop has had generative AI for a minute. Yes. And I'm sure you guys have seen TikToks, at least if you haven't been using it yourself, you've seen other people using it. Yeah. Which I do love Photoshop's AI because you can tell it what to do. So like for specific situations, it's nice. But that being said, Lightroom's is really good. Like I did studio portraits last month and was able to like remove the walls and stuff around the background or the backdrop without having to go all the way into Photoshop. And what's nice about that is when you pull things into Photoshop, it changes it to like a TIFF file, something like that. And then like you can't make edits.
I don't know. Don't judge me. I've never used Photoshop.
Are we doing ASMR? Wait. I just actually listened to what you said. You've never used Photoshop?
I've never used Photoshop.
That's crazy.
I've only ever used Lightroom.
That's crazy. Y'all, they're coming for her in the comments.
I know they're going to come for me. And guess what? Guess what, brother? Did I just go Super Saiyan? I don't know. So for my style, do not come for me. For my style, I don't necessarily need it.
Yeah.
In the instances where I may have, there are a lot of like different tools you can use in Lightroom, like different brushes, like a mirror brush or something like that. Like there's different brushes. I have always been very like, I know I'm very technologically challenged. And your girl cannot figure out Photoshop, okay? I will keep it in Lightroom. So this gracious gift that Lightroom has given us, fair. It is so good. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. But yeah, so I'm really excited for this.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. It makes my life so much easier because you don't have to pull everything into Photoshop and wait for it to load and all of that. It's so easy, breezy, beautiful. It takes a second. It might be my computer being slow, but like, takes
probably not, because like these are massive files. If you think about it, like pulling these things from one program to another, that's a lot of information. But I don't think it's your computer. I think it's like the programs, because they're literally just taking all this information in one photo. Yeah. Literally putting it into another program. Like,
oh, and I'm a psycho. I'll have Premiere open. I'll have Lightroom open. I'll have Photoshop open. I'll have Illustrator all at once. I'm like,
the heavy hitters.
Like, good luck.
Good luck.
It's like, you got me, baby. All right.
Yeah. But I've never used Photoshop because I never felt like I never felt like the situation called for it.
Yeah.
But now with this, what do you call it?
Generative AI.
Generative AI. So now I'll use it for like really big things. Like at my wedding on Saturday, the officiant, bless his heart, didn't step all the way. So like my thing is like, either don't move at all and I get you.
Because then we can get an angle where we don't see them usually.
Precisely.
I'm like, can we stop telling the officiant to move out of the way?
Can we stop telling the officiant to move? Because here's the thing. I told him not to move. I said, either don't move or go behind. There was like an arch with a wall. It was really nice. It was cute, pretty, love it. I was like, or go behind the wall.
Right.
Homeboy did not go behind the wall.
He stepped like a foot to the side.
He literally stepped a foot, and I was like, my man. Mm-mm. So his whole body removed. And so this arch, it had symmetrical, like a little floral arrangement. It was almost like a diamond shape. It was really cool. And the first try, generative AI got it.
I literally had the same thing happen to me. Exact same situation with the wedding in Asheville.
And when it stopped loading and I saw that final product, I was like, my soul left my body.
Right.
Now, if I try to use it for small things, another example, I was doing a pregnancy announcement or maternity or something like that. They had little kids with them. It was like their third child. And there's one, so my frame is here and there's one just like running around. So you just see their head, like the top of their head. It was just mom and dad. And then you see their little head running across the screen. So I was like, oh, generative AI, it's going to work immediately. It was putting on like different types of hair.
Oh, I always love when it does that. It's so funny. I was just, I was editing out like windy hair and it was like, you want it windy this way? You want it windy in this direction? Did the breeze go the other way? And I'm like, oh, sis. It was actually in the time lapse that I posted on my story and I was like, no one can tell, but it was funny.
Do you want blonde hair instead of brunette? Like, what are we going for?
One time I put a bird in their hair. It was like, it was a nest. I was like, oh God.
Could you imagine delivering that photo? Like, why did you Photoshop a bird in my hair? Well, I didn't do it. It was...
Okay, I'm referencing a lot of TikTok videos today, but did you see the one where they, instead of phones at the aisle, they replaced all the phones with chickens? So everybody's holding chickens. I've got you giggling today.
Yo, I'm going to have an asthma attack. I am cackling like a hyena.
It was so funny.
I have seen that.
It was so good.
I also saw they did like kittens and everybody was holding kittens.
Oh my gosh. So
and then another one with puppies. Now that wedding I can get behind.
Oh,
love a puppy wedding.
Love a puppies.
All the puppies in the crowd. But yeah, I did see that. That is hilarious.
Yeah, so good. The only other thing I want to mention with AI before we wrap up too, I forgot about this, is Lightroom has been doing this probably for a year now, but the masks. So like to select teeth and select really good, skin. Actually. Yeah, it's really good. Yeah. And so you can do that too to easily like whiten everybody's teeth.
Yep.
Or even one specific person, it can pick out someone's face. Yeah. So like if just the groom needs some teeth whitening, not to call my grooms out, but
yeah. And it literally like, because I do utilize this pretty frequently, you can select which subject. So of course, like if it is a bride and groom, you can select subject 1 or subject 2. Mm-hmm. You know, you can select the sky or the whole background.
Oh yeah, I do the sky all the time.
Yeah, you can literally do anything. And as like a lighter photographer, like sometimes I do have to mask like the entire background because if I'm exposing for the skin, so the skin's not blown out, now I have to lift all the shadows in the entire background because the whole background is going to be like underexposed. So I do utilize that a lot too. But
interesting.
But yeah, really, really, really awesome updates coming out with Lightroom. Like they're all like amazing.
Oh yeah, which makes sense that eventually no one probably will need Photoshop.
Yeah,
unless
which
you're
is
doing
so crazy
more
to think about
high end type stuff. Like,
yeah. It's so crazy. Especially because like when I like first started getting into the photography in like high school, it was like Photoshop was like the thing. And I was so in my old days, I was like, digital photography isn't real photography. I'm a film photographer. I develop my own film in the darkroom. Like I'm so cool. Look at me now.
Which like is cool, but
it is cool, but like
now you get paid to take digital photos. So.
I sold out is what I did. I sold out, but
as you should. Well, on that note, we will wrap up this episode. I know that was a lot for everybody to digest. Once again, if you want a link to IMAGEN AI for the photo editing or Aftershoot for the culling, I'm going to put that in the bio so you guys can get some free stuff, which is always fun. You get more use out of the programs that way. Where can they find you on the internet, Miss In Bloom?
They can find me at In Bloom Photography NC or In Bloom Photography NC.com. Where can they find you, McKenna?
Thank you. You guys can follow my personal work at 1828 Collective on Instagram and TikTok, and you can see more about the podcast at 1828 Photo Education on Instagram.
Love.
Thank you guys for joining us this week, and we will be back next week for a photographer hot take episode. So stay tuned.
Stay tuned. It's gonna be juicy.
See you guys next week.